It's time for the ultimate preview. CyHawk is here. We break down what do the Hawkeyes have to do to pull off the upset at Jack Trice Stadium.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We're available wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're there. Helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is right now. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets right now. Well, I am here covering the CyHawk game for now over 20 years on the radio. You can hear me currently on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. I'm on each weekday from noon to 2, talking the world of sports and lots of Hawkeyes with you and breaking down this game in each and every fashion. This has been a game, obviously, that has flipped over the last 27 years, dating all the way back to my freshman year at the University of Iowa. As I was sitting there in the student section and watched Dan McCarney and the Cyclones come in as huge underdogs and pull off the upset in that one, 27-9. Since then, after Iowa State had a long winning streak, Iowa took control for a while, and now it's been back the other way where really the road teams have dominated this one. We've talked a lot this week about Iowa's success in Jack Trice Stadium, winners of 6 in a row. There has been great games down the stretch, overtime affairs, including going back to the last time Iowa State won in that building against the Hawkeyes. So this week I've been talking a lot about Iowa State and looking at the Cyclones and some of the positives for them. And I get some people don't like to hear that. I call it like it is. Look, if you want fanboy radio, you want fanboy podcasts, this isn't the place for you. I am going to call it like I see it. And I see an Iowa State team that is playing well. However, there is a path to victory. Let's not make them out to be the 85 Bears. This Iowa State team, we're not talking about, I don't believe, one of the elite top 15 teams in the country, though they come in to the rankings at number 16. I think that's a product of the Big 12 and what they did, obviously, with that Week 0 win against K-State. However, there are some things that Iowa absolutely can do to win this game. And the last time Iowa went into Jack Trice Stadium as an underdog back in 2021, game day was there. What did they do? They pulled off the win. You go back to the last victory that they had. And many times the recipe is very similar to Iowa. Kirk Ferentz recently in these kind of spots, in these games that are basically coin flip type of games, these are the games that he has thrived in. And this is a game certainly that there is a path to victory. So let's move past some of the Cyclone positivity. Let's get into the Hawkeye positivity going into this game, give you a game plan of what this thing's going to look like and what Iowa's going to have to do. Now, this has been one of my biggest talking points all week long. And everydayers, I know you've heard this one, but it bears repeating. I think number one at the top of the list for Iowa to win this weekend is they have to generate pressure with their front four, not with blitzing, but with the front four. So again, those numbers, if you missed them this week, under pressure, Rocco Beck, it's only happened 6 times this year. He's just 2 of 6 for 25 yards. Now, quarterbacks in general, they struggle against pressure. That's just the way that it goes. However, against the blitz, and you're talking about pressure, that usually comes with the blitz. Rocco Beck this year, the Cyclone quarterback, has been outstanding. 11 of 16, 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, no picks, 9.4 yards per attempt. He's been really good against the blitz. So that goes back to that front four, getting to the quarterback, generating pressure, getting him uncomfortable. Earlier in the week, we heard the players talk a little bit, making him go through his progressions, right? Getting into that second, that third read, those kind of things. That's where Iowa feels like they have an advantage if they can make him go through his progressions. That's going to also rely on the other part of this, and that is the secondary and really the back seven playing at a high level and being able to do it. To this point in time, the Iowa State wide receivers outside of Eskildsen have not been outstanding. The 2 transfer receivers that they brought in, Townsend from UCF, Sewell from East Carolina, both those guys, I think at this point, maybe be considered a little bit of a disappointment. They weren't even listed as starters for the first couple of games. We did see a little bit more Townsend, and he's that shifty, quick guy. They'll also use him a little bit, jet sweeps, and in the run game, they do a little bit of that with him. He would be, I think, the guy that you're most concerned about at this time for the different things that he can do. The Iowa State team, though, the offense in the passing game so far this season has been predicated on what they're doing with their tight ends. And their tight ends are good. This is not to take anything away from those tight ends. Ben Bramer, outstanding. I mean, he looks the part. 6'7", can run. They split him out in the slot a lot. Not your traditional inline guy. He is more of that big receiver type that's listed as a tight end. He's got size. He's got athleticism. He's really good. So does that mean that's an assignment for your linebackers? You're talking about green guys out there with not a whole lot of experience. Are you going with Carson Shire? Are you going with in the middle with Harrell? Are those the positions you go? Or is it some of the cash guys or even a safety? Is with the length that Xavier Wampa has, do you go that direction? Lutmer is not a big guy. 6 foot tall. He doesn't have the kind of size against a 6'7" receiver. But then it's not only that. It's also what Iowa needs to do, I think, to slow those guys down and what they can do in that part. I don't believe that Iowa State's going to be able to run the football very effectively in this football game. I think Iowa is going to be able to do a great job against their run game. The offensive line has some deficiencies. One of their starters has been out with an illness. Sounds like he's going to be out again this week. So because of that, in Burr being out, Brendan Black is in there, the right guard, and he's the weak spot of this offensive line. He has been graded going back to last season, even 2 years ago as a freshman, and now this year he has been graded the worst performer from PFF. That is an opportunity there, be it Aaron Graves. We got to see a little bit of Jeremiah Pittman out there, which was good to see him coming off the surgery. I know a little bit slow coming in. It is Hawthorne, who we didn't see a ton in the game. 15 snaps, something like that for him. Jonah Pace, the Central Michigan. Those guys in the middle, those are the ones that are going to have to really do a good job of slowing things down, and I think they will overall. And that's one of the advantages I think Iowa's had, slowing down what they do and making, hopefully, Iowa State one-dimensional. I mean, when you can do that, and Phil Parker has said this so many times in the past, the Hawkeye great defensive coordinator, if you make a team one-dimensional, it's going to help you a lot, certainly going forward. So there's an advantage there. Now we go over to the offense, and we talked about it. Iowa's performance, the 310 yards rushing, was outstanding. And though there will be no Kamari Moulton, the deep stable of running backs that we've talked about, Iowa feels like they're in really good shape. And we saw Xavier Williams. Boy, he looks good. He looks the part. Jazzian Patterson's done it in this building before. Obviously, Nathan McNeil was kind of that buzz guy of training camp going back to August. And what he was, Iowa, you have to feel good about what you're able to do. And here's another part. Outside of Dom Orange, the nose tackle for Iowa State, the rest of that defensive line, not very good. Certainly has not proven it to this point. Just 1 sack from the Cyclone defense so far this year. I like their stable of linebackers. Ton of guys got experience. Caleb Bacon in the middle is really, really good. But overall, that front, not going to keep guys there. Look, and if I was able to go out there and pound it and get that repetition of just 5 yards a pop. Last year, you look at the numbers. Caleb Johnson, the game was outstanding, but it was on the big runs. And yes, you don't want to take away the big runs, but it was feast or famine. When the big runs weren't there, he was getting hit at the line, get hit for tackle for loss. And that's the part that Iowa needs to play in front of the sticks. Mark Gronowski maybe can be somebody that can help. Cade McNamara, not a runner. Spencer Petras, not a runner. Mark Gronowski runs the ball and can run it effectively. His legs can be a big difference in this game of what they can do, both in the passing game and, of course, moving him around, moving him outside the pocket. That's something I'd like to see Iowa do also, is move him around a little bit more, do some different things with him, and able to get his feet underneath him, get popped one time, go down like that, but also being able to use those feet in some design runs, in some rollouts, get him on the move, and hopefully get him comfortable to go along with it, and not as charged up as he was last week, and that's what we continue to hear throughout that. Finally, one other big thing is special teams. And as we talked with Nick yesterday from Locked On Cyclones, he mentioned special teams, and I should have pushed back on it because Iowa still has an edge at special teams. It's not as big as it's been in past years against Iowa State, and Iowa almost every single year has a huge advantage in special teams. It's not as big as it is in the past, but I think Iowa has to win special teams. Iowa, to pull off this upset, needs to do something big game, gain in a return, a couple of big field goals, those kind of things. Maybe it's Race Dakin putting the team back and pin them deep a couple of different times. Flipping field position. Special teams, Iowa doesn't have to dominate it, but I do think they have to win in order to pull off the victory. Look, it's not impossible. And I'm sorry if I painted that picture this week that this is impossible, because obviously it's not. The Hawkeyes, those are some of the keys to the game in order to get it done. Let's go to one of the radio voices of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Pat Anger, former Hawkeye great, and now up in the booth with Gary Dolphin. Had an opportunity to speak with Pat Angerer. We'll get his perspective on this game, what it's like to play in CyHawk, and a whole lot more. Hawkeye great Pat Angerer joins us next on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. Xavier Williams was the dude last week. What a performance out of him. Put it together in a big-time way. Had great runs throughout the course of the game. Just looked so smooth running the football. There was no doubt this was no fluke, and I think Xavier Williams is here to stay. Xavier Williams, he's on a streak. And just like Xavier Williams delivered for the Hawkeyes, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period good through November 18th. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. You can feel it the moment you get behind the wheel. The smooth handling, controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. Whether it's a quick drive to practice or a weekend road trip, Mazda makes even everyday drives feel special. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move or be moved.
Well, driving across the great state of Iowa is our next guest. He's the color analyst, football, radio-wise, Gary Dolphin's partner. He's Pat Angerer, and he joins us as he makes his way to Des Moines, some kind of an event at Big Grove tonight. Pat Angerer, is that what Trent tells me? Good to talk to you, first of all. What are you on your way to the state capitol for?
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me. No, we're having a little midweek pep rally up at Big Grove in Des Moines for Iowa fans to get to, and yeah, it should be a good time. Me and Gary will be there, and
nice.
Gary obviously will be carrying it, just like he carries most of the games, and then Beth will be there, and yeah, it should be a good time.
Are you enjoying what you're doing now?
It's the best, man.
Good.
It really is. It's good for it's just good for my soul to be around it again and be there with Gary, and it's I can't tell you how much I love it.
That's awesome.
And my wife likes it too, because I'm out of the house.
Yeah, really. Something to be said for that. Hey, before we get into the nuts and bolts, just your memories. You came out on the winning end in this series in your Iowa career, right? 5 games. You played in how many? 3 or 4 of them. But during your time at Iowa had the series lead in your 5 years, correct?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Is there any question there? Every game I played in, we won. I will tell you that.
All right.
The games I didn't play in, we lost. I don't know if there's a correlation there.
No.
It might be similar to the correlation that when I got to the Colts, they were really good before I got there and then not as good when I got there. Kind of a little bit of opposite deal there.
So this matchup, now you're from the Quad Cities, and I try to explain.
We're on in the Quad Cities.
As we are, yes, of course, across the Iowa Sports Radio Network, that this rivalry is much different here in central Iowa than it is in other pockets of the state. For you guys in the Quad Cities, you growing up, I know there's a lot of Illini fans over there. What was the Iowa State rivalry for you, at least growing up until you became a part of it as a player?
Yeah, I guess to start, I don't think there's Illini fans anywhere, to be honest with you. The only reason they got good is because they hired an Iowa guy. So let's start there. No, it was a big rivalry here. I mean, it really here, you're either Iowa or Iowa State. And Yeah, when I knew exactly how big the game was. I knew the rivalry and all that as soon as I got to Iowa. So that wasn't a hard adjustment for me. For some guys that aren't from the area or don't really understand it, they get to that game the first time, they're like, "Oh gosh, this is nuts." And we're like, yeah, it's the real deal.
It really is. So I want to obviously we'll get to Gronowski, et cetera, but I'm guessing that, when the defense is on the field, when the Hawks are on the field, you're, keeping a closer look maybe at the linebacker position. Obviously, Iowa's been spoiled with the linebackers that have come through there. What about this group? Obviously, they had to wait their turn. A lot of buzz around Shire. I thought Lutmer played very well in the football game. What did you see when you were looking at this new group of linebackers, Pat Anger?
Well, it's just kind of what I saw all camp is they were hungry. Like it's a really hungry group. There's guys now they haven't had a lot of real game experience, but they've been behind Jay Higgins, Jack Campbell, two of the best to ever do it at Iowa. Like these guys, they may not be experienced on the field, but they're experienced in what they know. And watching them play, granted, it was a kind of a different offense, a little bit of a different game. They didn't really have a lot of time to kind of show what they do, but I thought they did tremendously well. They ran the ball. They played hard. They played just like an Iowa linebacker should play.
Taking it a step further now, this week you're going up against an Iowa State team, couple of good running backs, different styles. Hanson, the bruiser, Abu Sama, obviously the speedster, and then that tight end position. When you're talking about the linebacker position, you got a crazy athletic guy in Bramer. You got Burkle, who's looked outstanding. It's deep. What do you have to do as a linebacker when you're going up against a tight end group that's not just one guy? There's a bunch of guys you got to figure out.
Yeah, and it sounds cliche. You've got to do your job. Watching them on tape, the thing that stands out for their tight ends is not only can they block tremendously well, but they're really good receiving tight ends. I know the Burkle family. I know his uncle, and I really wanted him to get to Iowa, but unfortunately, Iowa State got him. But they're fun to watch on tape. They play very, very physical, and what's interesting is they do a lot of things that Iowa wants to do. Like that's kind of what Iowa's bread and butter as well too. And they're both playing kind of a similar style of football. And what they do a good job too with these tight ends is they'll shift and they'll motion in position to where they have the angles to block, and then they'll show like they're blocking and they'll open for a pass. Like these guys are extremely talented in both facets of the game.
How much pressure is on Mark Gronowski this week in your mind, Pat?
I mean, really, there shouldn't be any, and I know he had kind of said, he's a little bit nervous and, felt some pressure and stuff. And, I think it's a lot harder on kids nowadays. Everybody knows, or they think they know what a guy's getting paid. You've got social media, you've got all this stuff. And, I think it was everything, kind of the nerves and everything was that he put on himself. And, I always look back to an interview with Aaron Rodgers. And I want to say it was McAfee. I'm going to say McAfee, whether it was or not, just because Pat's a good friend and I love him.
Yeah.
But
and a former teammate, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pat asked him. He said, "Hey, what changed for you? What made you great?" And Aaron goes, "My give a crap meter." He used a different word. So my give a crap meter went to 0.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have that. Like you have to really. It's a fine line. You have to care a lot about some things and care 0 about other things. So you care about your preparation. You care about your game prep. You care about everything leading up to the game. When the game happens, you just got to play and react. And hopefully he does that. And a quarterback that I played with who did that better than anybody, and it might have made people upset, was Rick Stanzi.
Mm.
Rick did not care. He was our Rocky. If he got knocked down, he was going to get back up. And knowing the team dynamic that they have, the culture is that, hey, we're behind you, Mark. We're with you. You go out there, you do your thing. We'll have your back. And really, at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to pass for 200 yards to beat Albany.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it shouldn't have had to. It shouldn't happen, and it didn't have to happen. So I'm excited to see him. He's a good kid. He works really hard. And hey, man, get that give a crap meter to 0 and go out there and play.
The running back spot's going to look a little different this week after Bolton got injured early in the game. For Iowa, Xavier Williams, he comes in there and he looked tremendous. He looked like a guy that was on the roster back when you were there a little bit with Sean Green. He has that look, that big body guy, but he just was gliding out there. How do you expect things to look this weekend at the running back spot? And Xavier Williams, last week was his first career playing time and now his first road game. What's that look like for him and the young guys in general, plus the running game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of it will depend on how the game goes. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball, obviously. I think Iowa State, the last 2 games, ran the ball over 40 times. Obviously, the first game is because of the rain. Second game, probably because they were winning by so much. but both teams want to dominate the line of scrimmage, and these guys are going to have opportunities to run. I love watching Xavier Williams, 5'10", 225, 230-pound guy. You have to make a business decision when you want to tackle him. Like, hey, do I want to have ringing in my ear the rest of the game, or do I want to live to fight another day? And you can kind of see that. And then you've got T.J. Washington, who's quick, athletic, fast out the backfield. And then Jazz Patterson, who's very patient, but then when he finds a hole, he goes really hard. Another guy that didn't get a lot of time was our true freshman, Nate McNeil, who's extremely athletic, very, very shifty. I really like the guys. What really impressed me the most, and the reason why they had so much success, was due to the fact that our O-linemen played extremely violent. And I'm going to love to see how they go up against this Okie front that Iowa State plays so well with.
Yeah, Dom Orange in the middle, who's a difference maker, as you know, if you watch him. Who are some of those guys that would force you to make a business decision? I know the decision you made, but who were some of those guys? Oh,
everybody, I think. But I was too dumb to make a right decision. I kind of just put my head in there.
Yep.
Maurice Jones-Drew, he was a tough guy to tackle. He was like 3 feet tall and had legs like a tree trunk. You went high on him, you get ran over. You went low on him, you get ran over. And you'd think you'd have a good game because you have a bunch of tackles, but he'd have like 250 yards. He was a tough guy, and having to play him twice a year wasn't ideal.
I got a question for you schematically. We kind of talked about the linebackers against the tight ends. We know how buttoned up Iowa is defensively. When you look at Phil Parker, the evolution over the last 5 years with the cash position and what they've done, people really like to simplify what Iowa does and hear analysts on TV. When you look at the Iowa defense, is it as simple as it kind of looks to, us people that don't know the intricacies of football? How simple is the Iowa defense and what Phil Parker does each and every week?
What's funny is they do a lot more than what we did when I was there. When I was there, we ran really one defense. We ran under 8 locks. So if they come out in regular formation, we'd run cover 8, quarter, half, and they come out in a slot. We'd run cover 3, and sometimes we'd run cover 1 to it. So that was really all that we did. We never really blitzed. He does a lot. He's got a lot of moving parts, a lot of guys moving around. Didn't really get to see that much against Albany. But I'm assuming hopefully we can get Rocco in 3rd and long to where we have the opportunity to blitz and show different things. But it really is. It's not as simple as it was when we had. But he's got the guys playing so fast and so strong in their position that it looks like it's super easy.
It'll either happen this week or certainly next week. But your head coach is about to set a record and become college football's all-time winningest coach. What will that mean, knowing that you were part of some of those wins, Pat?
I think probably if I was at Iowa, he probably would have reached that a little bit sooner. But it's awesome. It says so much about him and just so much about his staff. He is the best of the best. I'm so honored for him. And the funny thing is he's not going to want to talk about it. Yep. He's not going to want any of the attention because that's just who he is. It's never about him. But really, it's always been about him, because without him, Iowa football is nothing.
No, without a doubt. And last thing for me, I'll let Trent finish up, but back to your Colts career. Jim Irsay sadly passed away. What was he like as an owner? What were some of when you would cross paths with the guy that would sign your checks, Jim Irsay?
Jim was a great man. It's kind of unfortunate. Jim had some issues that were very public, but Jim never shied away from it. He was always open. He was always kind. And there's at least on 2 or 3 occasions when there were guys that I knew on staff or players that he could have got rid of, but instead he paid out of his pocket for them to go to rehab, took care of them, helped them rehabilitate themselves back, gave them a job when they got done. And that's stuff that nobody hears about. There's so many people, just by him walking down the street, he changed their lives. And it's a huge loss for Indianapolis and the state of Indiana on the whole. Jim was a good man, and he was a really good owner.
One final thing. Heard earlier this week during press conferences that Gronowski had a talk with Lester and had a talk with Kirk. And Kirk brought him to the side or maybe called him into the office. Now, we know your visits in the office probably were a little bit different than what Gronowski went. But certainly, Pat, we know your affinity for Coach Ferentz. What are those conversations like? Those one-on-ones, the things that we never get to see and rarely hear about. What's it like when, not the bad, the good times that Kirk's trying to talk to you? What are those meetings like?
Even the good and bad. You go in there And right away, you know you're there because he loves you and he cares about you. And whatever the conversation is about, the fact that you know as a player that the guy on top, the face that runs the place, loves you and would do anything for you, makes you want to run through a wall for him and completely, kind of dedicate your life to him and to Iowa football. And I'm assuming it was an amazing conversation. And basically, I would assume that coach said, "Hey, we're with you, we're behind you, we got your back, and we love you."
Big Grove Brewery tonight. What time does it start, Pat?
What'd you say?
What time does the Big Grove event start tonight?
5:30. Me and Gary will get on there, I think, around 6:15 or so.
Good stuff.
You're going to hear his beautiful voice.
Yeah, we heard it yesterday. He joined us during the show yesterday. Hey, thanks for jumping on, Pat. Happy for your success, and we'll talk down the road. Thank you, Pat Anger.
Thank you, guys. You're the best.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Pat Angers, we check in on Hawkeye football.
Great as always to check in with Pat Angerer and hear everything that, oh man, he is entertaining in the booth, and you can feel he's certainly getting more comfortable in the role and really having a fun time up there with Gary Dolphin. Final thoughts on the game, the ultimate preview, Iowa State. CyHawk continues. We're back with more in a moment. Hey, Hawkeye fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited promo code FOOTBALL. Get an extra 25 cents off per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought this was way too good to be true, but it's totally real. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card from Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Well, the NFL season, it is here, started last night, and it continues. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel for a myriad of different ways. The deep menu of prop bets that are out there. You can build a same-game parlay, have some fun, bet a little, and maybe make a lot. Plus, it just makes games more exciting. Having a little something, a little skin on the game. I love using the FanDuel app, and their futures menu is deep. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com. Trent Condon back with you one final time on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Big thank you to everydayers with us each and every day. Well, you heard me earlier in the week. I made my score prediction. I do have Iowa State winning this game 23-17. Now, don't misconstrue that. Just because I believe a team is going to win and I believe the Hawkeyes aren't going to win, doesn't mean I'm not going to be rooting for them. Doesn't mean that it's not going to kill me if they do lose the football game, because it does. I'm a fan like all of you. But also, I try to call it like I see it. And some of the advantages here. Now, Mark Gronowski, we know he has to be a better thrower of the football. He has to do things in this game that we certainly didn't see in week number 1. And as we laid out at the beginning of the podcast, the path is there. Iowa absolutely can do the things necessary to pull off this game. We've seen it before. We've seen Iowa with their backs up against it, and they have been able to find a way to get it done. And one final thought. If it does happen, and Kirk Ferentz breaking Woody Hayes' record, and what that means. I know there's some of you that are ready for change. Some of you that are ready for whatever the next chapter of Iowa football is going to be. There's been a lot of successes. And regardless of what you believe, this is not an easy place to win. You look around and you look at what's happening right now at a place like Wisconsin. You look what happened in the past at places like Michigan. You see the downturns of major programs and what they've gone through. Florida State was 2-10 last year. Alabama, they might be going through it this year. And on and on and on. The consistent success is something that we just shouldn't shy away from. And yes, we'd love to see the offense do more. We'd love the passing game to take a step forward. And there are parts that I understand where your frustration lies. But when it happens, regardless if it's this week or the following week against UMass, when it happens, let's make it a celebration. Kirk Ferentz deserves that. Kirk Ferentz has given a lot to our football program and given us a lot of great memories. Let's hold on to those and enjoy those when he breaks the record. That'll do it for today. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Might have one more bonus episode coming up either late tonight or early tomorrow morning before kickoff. Remember, 11 a.m. big noon kickoff on Fox as they will be set up in Ames for this one. Then we'll be with you after the game with a post-game reaction show as we have for you each and every time. We'll react to what we see out on the field on Saturday. As always, thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Hey, also, don't forget, we got something else going on with Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff. It's your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along with two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On local experts like this week. Yeah, yours truly. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, go Hawks.